Can I see anyone here? Oh, there we go. Yeah. I think it'll be shortly after 4. I think we should know by like 4:30 who it's going to be. I'm fully prepared to be disappointed, but we'll see. I would like to be pleasantly surprised. But I'm ready for it either way. I can show you my positions. I already posted it on X, but this is what I'm holding right now. I have the 70 calls. I had 55 of them this morning. I started scaling out over 10. I think the last batch of 5 I got out at 1180, and then I opened the 65 puts. So we'll see how that goes. Let me adjust this screen. What's good? What's good? We're just talking about whether we should be prepared for disappointment or not. It's definitely selling off like somebody thinks it's gonna not be in. I've got app up here, I've got hood, and I've got TTD. Just those are the 3 I think should get in, like most likely out of the options that we have right now. But they let Williams Sonoma came in out of nowhere in December, and I don't think anybody expected that. So God knows what the S&P committee will come up with. Yeah, I was thinking about just closing them because mine are up a lot too. So I timed those really well. I opened my 25-65 puts for next week at like, I think it was at 77 when I opened them. So they're already up 30%, almost 27% today. I'm tempted to just close them, but I want to have that protection there because I feel like this will, I mean, I feel like it'll dump at least $5 to 70, and I can sell on Monday at open those puts, if not lower. Because the market really, I mean, the run up has to be off of just FOMO for the S&P inclusion. It did something similar to last quarter. Yeah, it's always good to have the hedge. I mean, I guess you could, if you could short, which you can't on Robinhood, shorting the 2x would be another way to hedge it. Or I guess you could sell cover calls. But the thing I hate about selling cover calls is if I sell one at 80 or 85, and then it pulls a Palantir and goes to 90 next week, I'll be really mad that I missed out on all the gains to the upside. I know you can roll it, but I mean, I feel like if you started rolling Palantir when they really took off after inclusion, you'd still be rolling today, and you wouldn't have realized any of your profits because it's done nothing but go up for the last year. Like it had one pullback, and that's it. So that's the risk you take when you do cover calls. It's just too much of a headache for the amount of money, like especially if you're selling way out of the money, like 85 or 90. Like a day like today, you can get pretty good premiums just because the volatility is up for S&P inclusion. But on a normal week, like you just don't get any money out of that. Yeah, is Amit not on yet? I'm really surprised. I thought I saw him. I thought I saw him go live. I know he had a thing for it. He's probably just coming in late. Yeah, he'll be live. Oh no, he's scheduled at 4:55. Okay, so we'll see. Let's see what the typical announcement time is for this. And you'll know immediately. I mean, just looking at these 3, I think one of these 3, if none of them get in, they'll all dump. So we'll we'll see it all happen in real time. I probably should go to like the minute chart, the second chart. I want to know who uses a 1-second chart, like an algorithm. Like a human being is not using a 1-second chart and able to execute off of that. I don't even know if I can click buy in 1 second. or sell in 1 second. All right, here's a 1 minute. Let me move it over. Yeah, it's certainly dumping like it's somebody knows something, but it doesn't mean anything. It'd also be a fake out. There goes app, which is also kind of dumping right now to the lows of the day, or at least since this morning. Interestingly enough, Trade Desk, who has been on the low pretty much the whole day, is the only one kind of going up right now. Sean probably did. So I don't know. We'll see. I am drinking, if you're wondering, this is Pitt Street Brewery. It is Hay Chaser Kolsch, 6.1% ABV. It's pretty good. It's really hot outside here in North Carolina. It's like 85 today, but it's humid. So it's a beer, cold beer is really good right now, especially for stress. All right, I'm going to look and see what the typical time. Let's see what Claude says. Oh, a mitt. Wow. Yeah, it does. It does feel like a fake out because it's so well. The volume's pretty good on it too. I will see. I won't be butthurt if it is actually a fake out or not a fake out if we do dump. Because I got covered. I got puts to cover my ass right now. Yeah, 103 in Texas. Yeah, y'all don't have the humidity in Texas though. At least not like it is here. 5:15 is the announcement time. Oh, well, I'll hang out here for a while and come back. I'll probably just jump in your stream a bit. But it's interesting to see the price action in the close because, I mean, if you're institution and you're positioning for this, you're going to do it during market hours. So you got 3 minutes left for somebody to make their plays on what they think is going to happen here. I really think any of these three could get in. I mean, technically, they could let in two of these because, I mean, they don't ever do more than three. Coinbase is already in for the quarter, so that leaves only 2 slots opened. They also don't have to let anyone else in. I don't know, a lot of people have thought about that, but they could just choose not to only do Coinbase this quarter. And if that happens, like all three of these guys are going to take a huge dump today. I think Hood is the better chance. The only reason I took the Trade Desk call options over the App 11 is because Trade Desk was trading on the low today and App 11 was actually up. And the premiums. Like the premiums for App 11, I think are just super high because most people think that they're actually the one that's going to get in. I think it's either App 11 or Hood would be my, like the two I think should definitely get in. Trade Desk is kind of a distant third to them. But like I said earlier, the SP 500 committee, I mean, I don't know what's going on in their head if there's anything going on in there, but who knows what base their decision off of. If they let Williams Sonoma in, who's already right now, based on market cap, disqualified, then they could put anybody in. I mean, I looked at the list yesterday of companies who don't currently qualify, and there's like 10 in the S&P 500 who don't even meet the criteria right now. And 2 of those are financial companies. So they could easily take out one of those financial companies and put Hood in their place. Now, whether they do that or not, who knows? So Amit said they announce at 5:15 Eastern time will be the announcement, which I'm a little surprised it's that late. I thought it was earlier than that. Sorry if you hear my dog barking. I have a basset hound and he barks at literally everything all day long. So yeah, we'll see. 1 minute left into close. Nobody's really taking off or dumping right now. I mean, I feel like the move's already happened. Ooh, there was a weird little spike. That's the close wick. All right. Well, I thought this was going to be sooner. That the sell-off into close, I don't think that's really. I wouldn't read too much into that. Let's see what the volumes here are. I mean, it's only a couple of million shares. probably about 3 million shares. That's not that much. I mean, market cap or share count wise, Hood has 181 or 881 million shares outstanding, non-diluted. So 3 million shares isn't really much in this sell-off. I don't think that can tell you anything. Yeah, retail profit taking would be my guess. I think if you see, let's look at the end of day candles yesterday. So yeah, the volume in the close is a little bit higher, but let's see what the highest is. Yeah, I don't think that's crazy. Like if we were getting volume like way up here for the last 30 minutes, then I would be more concerned. Hmm. Yeah, I mean, I think insider trading definitely happens. It's pretty clear. You see the people who you see the people that get caught with posts on social media where there's like somebody puts in a order for 500 contracts a minute before close, and then the stock announces that they're being bought out and then goes up like 10,000% on their option for that expires next week. This isn't enough volume though for me to think it's like institutional selling. And I mean, the last 5 minutes of price action, I don't think outweighs the, like if we zoom out and look at this. I mean, since May started, I mean, it's just been nothing but buying. So just because we sold off in the last 5 minutes of the day before the S&P announcement, I don't think it's a big deal. Yeah, that is unusual. Yeah, but there might be panic at the disco. Go about 1 minute. So yeah, I ended up closing out. Let's see where everything that I have hold here. I probably should have just sold everything, but I'm a risk taker. So yeah, the like I'll definitely end up like the puts will not offset. Like if we take a dump, like a dump to the mid 60s, they'll help a little bit, but they definitely won't offset the gains that I had. Like if I had just sold my calls that I had today. But my calls are for mid July, and the puts are for next week. So, I mean, in a perfect world, we dump to 65 or something for some reason. I sell the puts, I take the money, I immediately put them back into the calls, either for July or later dated. And then Hood recovers, like, I don't know, week after next into the crypto summit at the end of June. Now, if that were to happen, like that would be like the perfect trade, like the ideal trade situation. Yeah. Either that or you just didn't play it and you waited. And if we dump, you buy. Like that's the other way you could do it. The risk there is if they do get in, like forget it. Like this thing will open at 80 on Monday and you'll be like, shit, I should have bought some. You could do like a half position. Like you put in like half of your money before, and then if we dump, you put in the half after the inclusion announcement, and then your cost basis isn't so bad. And if you were still really nervous after that, you could sell cover calls. Yeah, Carvana was the other one I saw throwing them around. Let's put that one up here. And how about the SPY today getting to 600? It's like tariffs never happened. It's crazy. I don't know how you could be bearish in the stock market. I mean, it worked in 2022. It only works for like a year or two, and then the other 10 to 20 years it doesn't work. Yeah, CVNA actually it went up into close. That would be some bullshit though if Carvana got in. Like, I still don't understand that company. Like, let's look at their earnings. Carvana. Nah, that's not what I want. This site right here is really good. If you've never used it, I use it to pull data from. It's visualized stocks. I don't know who made this, but it's awesome. And you can export CSV files directly out of here. Here, sorry, my child is in need of help. All right, can you shut the door, honey?
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, solar companies. Yeah, like I think Enphase is still in there. SP 500, although they're down like 80%. I'm not even sure criteria anymore for market cap. I'd have to look at that. I think Enphase could go down. I don't know where they're trading at now, but I always thought they should be trading at like $20. Can you link the site? Yeah, here, let me drop it in the chat. I don't know if you can see this. You can use it for what the hell? Why don't you let me paste this? You can use this. They have like default ones that you can have for free that you can look at. But if you want to pay for the premium and get like real-time data, forget how much it is, but it's totally worth it because they will actually they put the data in pretty quick on earnings day. So like the day the Hood reported, they had most of the data in here in like 10 minutes after they reported. So I was able to go in and look, and like their key charts are pretty good. They break things down by like segment. They show you their stock-based compensation and margins. But let's look at for Carvana. Let's look. Actually, I'm just going to look at one of these and I'm going to delete everything. And it'll let you play with it. Like you can search for whatever you want to in here. So if we do net income, are they even positive? Oh, they are. So they do make money as of, looks like they kind of flipped in the beginning of 2024. Let's see, net income. Let's see what kind of margins they have. I can't imagine margins in this business are very good. Oh, 0. They don't have a margin. Yeah, VRT, I like. Let me go back to their homepage. Not gonna lie, I didn't know Carvana was profitable. But their stock price has doubled almost this year. It has doubled in a year. It's crazy. Their PE ratio is 120. PE ratio of 120 for a used car company. It's pretty insane. I feel like a lot of this is like just short seller driven still. I don't know enough about them, but it feels like there's something going on here other than just their valuation. Although their profit growth is pretty crazy. 557% year over year. All right, VRT probably looks a little bit better. Yeah, a lot of people like Vertex. So I don't think they are profitable yet, but it's pharmaceutical companies. A lot of that's based off their pipeline and trial results. What is their compound that they're trying to get approval for? I forget. No, they are. They're profitable. They just had one quarter. I wonder what that was. Probably bought a manufacturing facility or spent a whole bunch of money on a trial. Yeah, coin over hood scratches my head too. Like I get it. Like coin, I feel like has been on the waiting list longer than hood because coin has qualified based on their market cap for longer. And I feel like they had profitable quarters before hood did, but coin is also more volatile. Like I think and you can do comparisons in here too, which is pretty cool. So you can do like coin and hood together and then search for, I don't know, let's look at revenue. That's not what I want. Just want plain old revenue. Where is it? I think the craziest thing last earnings or the earnings before last were Coin and Robinhood was that Robinhood in Q4 had like 40% of the entire crypto market as far as trading volumes. And they don't even really, they're not that big outside of the US. and you can't even do things like staking in the US. So like the incentive for the people in the US to buy and like hold stuff on their platform isn't as high as it is like Coinbase is, I feel like, worldwide, and Hood really isn't for crypto. Like they're starting to be, but they're really gaining on them. And Hood is, I mean, part of that is just I feel like people are realizing that there's so much cheaper to trade crypto on Robinhood. Yeah, once they expand internationally, which they are very close to doing. You saw they got the approvals in, was it Lithuania, that I think will cover them for all of the EU now. So we'll see what they announce at the end of June. I think it's gonna be blockchain related for equities, or maybe private equity. Like those are the two most likely, in my opinion. I think it's curious that Ethereum is there at the same time doing their like summit, their get together in France. And Robinhood, I think, is going to join and participate in that while they're there. So I'm wondering if there's going to be some kind of partnership with the Ethereum Foundation and Robinhood to start either mapping. I think at the very least, they're going to announce a plan. Now, whether they'll have something ready to just go ahead and roll out, I don't know. But Vlad said he doesn't like to announce stuff unless it's ready to go. Like he literally said that the other day in an interview when somebody more or less asked him if this was coming. Yeah, the IP on the 0DTE was pretty wild. Now, if you'd bought like the dip at open, God, how low did this get out off of the open? It was pretty low. Yeah, almost 73. You could have gotten it at 73 and I don't know, made a ton of money probably on a 0DTE up to almost 78 this afternoon before it dumped in the close. I'd like to see the options chart on that, like what the return would have been. So AppLovin is up pretty significantly, I guess you could say. I mean, a couple bucks in after hours. Hood is not really doing anything. Trade Desk, same thing, not really doing anything. This AppLovin's a little interesting. Carvana is actually up too, similarly. Did you buy CRTTs? Okay, yeah. Yeah, the premiums is what gets you. Like a lot of people, especially people who are new to options, like they don't pay attention to like how expensive something is when they're buying it. They just look at the strike and the date, and they're like, "Oh yeah, I think it can get to 70 by, the end of the week." But if the premium's $5, it really has to get to 75 by the end of the week. And a lot of people that are new especially don't think about that. And going into an event like this, buying long calls or puts is usually a bad idea if you like haven't been in the position a couple of weeks, because you're going to get rinsed on IV, even if it goes in the direction you want it to. So you got 10 for the 74 calls today. $100. That's kind of crazy though. I mean, if that person, I'm assuming you sold them when it was up today, but if you had held, I mean, it closed pretty much right at break even for you, like at $75 if you held all the way into close. So whoever sold that contract, I guess, kind of didn't lose anything. Like they lost, I guess their shares could have got called away. Not saying for you, but if somebody else had bought your same contract and held to close, what did we actually close at? Yeah, 74. No, that's not where we closed. The after hours charts, I know Mitt's complained about this, really do kind of suck on here. Yeah, 74.90. So if you sold those, you didn't really lose anything, except for if the person exercises them and then now your shares are gone, which would suck if this shot up to 85 on Monday because they get into the S&P. This is why I don't sell covered calls. It's like, yeah, if you sell that contract this morning, you're like, dang, I'm making $1,000 just to sell this $74 call on my shares for a day, like $1,000 in a day to do nothing. And there's the potential that like they don't even get called away. but like that contract did end in the money. I know you didn't hold it, but if somebody else had held it, then, and I guess they don't even have to held it. It will still get exercised on them at 74 because we closed over 74. And if Hood tanks tonight, then they make a lot of, they don't make any extra money, but they miss out on like the pullback and they can re-enter. But if we go $10 up next week, then you miss out on all those gains. I would rather average down on a pullback or either position with long puts headed into something like this, which is what I did, than risk my shares. And like all I have, this is my trading account. This isn't my IRA. So in here, I'll do calls. Like the IRA is just shares and they just sit there. But I'll do calls and puts in here. And then if I do make enough money, I will move it out into the IRA and roll it over, which is why like Hood is so easy to like move the stuff around within the app. Or you could put it in your managed account. I have like $500 in my managed account just to see how it's performed. And it's actually done pretty good, like through the volatility this year. Hood is taking a poop. Did they announce something? Look and see. Let's see. SP500 inclusion. Yeah, Barron's seems to think AppLovin and Robinhood were the two most likely, which I don't know that Barron's knows any better than anyone else. I mean, the price action after hours looks like AppLovin is maybe going to get in. I wouldn't be surprised if they were the only one to get in. Looking at this Bloomberg article. Sorry, I'm not sharing it. We ran so hard into this, it almost feels kind of sus to me. Which makes me wonder if we do get in, like how much further. I feel like the risk is to the downside here because we've moved up so high so fast. All right. Let me know if there's anything y'all want to look at or talk about. Because I'm not doing shit right now. I'll show y'all where I track all of my stuff. I use this site and I probably don't have my, yeah. So this is Trade Otter. It's more or less a journal. There's a chat room in here too that you can get into and talk with people. But you have a profile. Like here's mine. I'll just show you my stuff real quick. And I track all of my trades. So like this is my profit loss for the year across everything. You can break stuff out into like specific portfolios. Like I have one created for Hood, which actually sucks right now. But it's nice because you can go in and see all of your trades. Like Robinhood, like I use this because Robinhood, it kind of sucks to go back and look at P&L. So like if I scale out of something on Robinhood, it doesn't really capture the total P&L. It only captures if you sell everything at once. So I like to be able to put everything in here that I can just put my average exit and then I can see my total. TSSI, God, that trade is my best one so far this year for sure. Actually, no, Robinhood was probably better. Let's see. And you can filter, which is kind of nice. You can see where you really screwed up. Yeah, the long calls before last earnings on Robinhood was really good. And then you can have comments. It's kind of nice to have the notes to come back in here and like see why you entered a trade to begin with. Because sometimes, especially if it's something you have for a while, you forget, like, why did I do this? Do you think see 85? Yeah, I think we can see 85. And no, I don't ever use like Robin. Actually, not to take that back. I have used it before. Let's see. Yeah. Yeah, I've traded it before. I'd rather just do call like options. I don't know. I feel like I'm more comfortable with options. I don't understand the decay on these like 2x um shares well enough. And they're all a little different on how they're structured. So it's not the same for all of them. Like I'm sure there's probably a difference between Hui and Robin. I've only ever used Robin, and I think there might even be a third 2x. Some countries have like 10x or 5x crazy ass leverage for like shares. But in the US, I think we're restricted to only doing 3x maybe is the highest we can go on these leveraged ETFs. But yeah, I can see 85. No, I never, well, I don't say never. I haven't traded Palantir this year. And this site is only from this year, so it's probably not in here. No, by the time I traded it when it was like in the 20s and 30s. And then after it got included in the S&P, it ran so far so fast that I was just like, I don't feel like I can buy it. So Amit said 5:15 is allegedly our time. Yeah, I did that with hymns. I bought hymns and then sold way too early. And really with Hood, like my first buy, like big buy on Hood was around 17. And I think I sold at like the first time we retested $30 and then failed. I think I sold at like 28. And then I re-entered again. Was it Q4 earnings or Q3 earnings last year? We got a dip to like 25. And I think I bought some shares at 26 something after that. And I held those for a while. I still have part of that position in my long-term portfolio that I've added to. Like at one point, I had the most I've ever had was 12,000 shares of Hood, and I scaled back on that because it was a lot of my portfolio, and that was in 2024, like May of 2024. I mean, in hindsight, I probably should have held all of it, but nobody's perfect. Yeah, I haven't intentionally sold any since. Now I've intentionally sold some since then, but it's been a while. I think the last few batches that got taken from me were covered calls, and I was just, which is why I'm kind of over covered calls, especially if you're going to hold this for 10 years. Like, I don't know. Yeah, having too much of one stock is really scary, especially Hood, because I mean this thing can go up and down like $10 in a day. I mean, we went from what? From like 40 or no, we went from 66 all the way down to 32 and back to what, 77 in like 3 months, which is insane. Like you could make 100, you could have made 100%, lost it all, and made it all back in like 3 months just holding it. Like that's insane volatility. 60%, Jesus. Oh, was it 29? Did we get to 29? Holy shit, I didn't realize it was that low. And I did buy some there. I bought some and then I sold some of that. I didn't buy much because I think I was even scared. Oh, look at you, Steven. It's not even your real name. Your name's Jason. Yeah. I mean, if you're going to hold it for 10 years, I mean, do you really think Robinhood's going anywhere? Like, I'll show you my, from my video last night. Let me switch screens. If I can ever get there. There we go. I need like a quick button for this. So this is revenue and revenue margins for through 2027. And at this valuation, like I don't know if you've seen my video from yesterday, but $200 a share would only be like a 29 PE, like based on the EPS that this would be. I think it's like $6.7 for the entire year. So if you just take 200 and divide it by that, it gives you their price per earnings, and it's 29. And like if they're growing at 40% year over year still in 2027, then a PE under 30 is like pretty reasonable. Like the only reason they would be valued any lower is if we were in a bear market, and I don't think we're going to be in a bear market. Yeah, SoFi. I feel bad for like I don't want to pick on anyone, but I feel bad for SoFi folks. And I've been like pretty hard about SoFi, like in general, like talking to people in discords and stuff about it, like giving them shit for holding. So, and a lot of them hold Hood too. So like they're benefiting off of all of this. It's not like they're completely missing out. It's like, well, imagine if you just put 100% of that money into Hood instead of splitting it between SoFi and Robinhood. And they're okay. I mean, it's an okay company. It's just not, they're not revolutionizing anything. Let's just put it that way. Here, I'll pull up the EPS chart just so you can see it. This one's kind of jacked up because I have an error in my spreadsheet. And like this is pretty conservative. Like it doesn't sound conservative. And honestly, it could be drastically higher depending on how fast they scale. I think they're for sure going to have some stuff on blockchain by 2027. So this takes into account like a partial scale into EU and US equities onto a blockchain model. And like if they're full hog into it by 2027, I think this number is actually low for their diluted EPS, which means that their price could be a lot higher because their PE would be lower if their earnings per share are higher. Hims or Hood? I think Hood's going to see 100 first, only because like I think if Hood gets S&P inclusion, it will for sure see 100 first. I think if it doesn't, then there's the potential for Hims to get there just because of the structure of the trade. And by structure, I mean the fact that it's got like 30% short interest, or at least last I checked, it was 30% short. I mean, it's like kind of like Carvana. Carvana was just shorted forever and they kept shorting, and then like they never got out of the trade, and it just like gradually bled them out as it went up to $200, $300 a share. And go back to our. Yeah, I think back to 65 if not added. That's the reason I got those puts for the hedge that expire next week. Like if you go out to the daily, like this level right here at 65 is pretty obvious. I don't even know if you can see my screen if it's just too tiny. I need to do like one of these where it's just a big ass chart. Here. I would say this desktop app's pretty sweet. I'm a little annoyed though that Futures isn't on here, and I feel like Futures is the one thing that needs a desktop app more than anything else. So yeah, here's your, let's go to the daily. So yeah, 66, 65, like this level, it was the previous high and there was consolidation through here. I think this is like clearly where it'll go. And we probably should retest this, honestly, because we have a gap here too that's not filled. So this is probably a good spot to re-enter if you're out completely, or to add if you're just uncovered in shares. Like 60 to 65, somewhere in here is probably a good area to start adding shares again, or reposition options if you want to do that. Yeah, Hims market cap's lower, but they're also, I mean, if you want to go off of fundamentals, like they're not, here we can look. And that's not really a fundamental trade. necessarily. Like they're not, although it is very pretty chart for hymns. Their revenue doesn't really matter. Nobody cares about revenue. Net income at the end of the day is all that matter. So there's the difference in net income. Like, yeah, hymns is a lot smaller market cap, but for a reason. Like Robinhood is making almost 10x the amount of money in actual income into their pocket after you pay for, capital expenditures, cost of revenue, SG&A, all that crap. A lot of people only look at their revenue and it's like, well, yeah, it's great if you make $400 million, but if you have to spend $500 million to make it, you don't really make any money. And I see that argument a lot for SoFi. They're like, oh, well, the revenue's growing faster than Hood's. It's like, yeah, but Hood is way higher margin and their net income, what they actually take home at the end of the day, is way better than SoFi. It's also a lot easier for Hood to acquire customers. And that really matters more for these software platforms. Like customer acquisitions where you spend a lot of money, and Hood just doesn't have to do it. They do these events and stuff to get people kind of excited about it, but they're not spending, hundreds of millions of dollars to acquire customers. They're running like 5-second ads on YouTube. I mean, that's where their base is too, anyways, right? It's Gen Z and millennials. They're on YouTube watching videos and they see a 5-second ad. Yeah, true. You can lose money on futures is very easy. I've lost more money on futures probably than anything else, even on options, because it can go sideways pretty quick, especially if you're doing like whole ES and Q contracts. Yeah, Hood, a lot of that was stock-based compensation too. Like they were paying themselves a lot of money. I mean, you can see that here. Let's just take hymns out and do. Yeah, look at how much money they were paying themselves in 2021 compared to today. Like this is a percentage of their revenue is probably paying themselves more in stock than they were generating in revenue, which is crazy. And it was really pretty bad until like relatively recently they've started buying back shares too. So they still issue stock comp to people who work at the company, but then they buy back shares and it kind of offsets it. So now you're not really seeing, really big numbers for them paying themselves. And they also have like a developed user base now, right? Like they're making money off people who have been customers for 10 years. So they're not having to go out and like spend as much money to acquire new customers. And they're more well-known brand now too. So people know who Robinhood is. They don't have to go search for it or like spend to get new people in. Like if people want to sign up for Robinhood, they have plenty of like opportunity to do so. Yeah, I know. He keeps dumping, which I don't blame him, right? I mean, he made his money and he's off doing crazy stuff now with like solar arrays in outer space or something like that, I think he's starting a new company, which is very different than like it's not a software finance platform or anything like that. It's completely separate. So obviously he was done with this like thing. Like he was over it, ready to move on to something completely different. Which I don't blame him. And everybody's that way, right? You work the same job for 10 years, you would want to consider something different. But it definitely didn't help. And then like Kathy Wood too. Kathy Wood sells, like she sold a bunch last night. Let's see how many shares she sold. And she does some of her sales though, are because she can only have a certain percentage in her ARC accounts of one stock. So a lot of times when Kathy sells, it's because she has to sell to get it below the percentage. But the days that she does sell, you can really tell that like when they post at the end of the day that what they sold for that day, it's obvious to be like, oh yeah, that's why we didn't go up yesterday, is because Kathy was selling. So like yesterday, Arc K sold 230,000 shares of Hood, and that's like their flagship. And actually, Arc W sold 26,000 shares of Hood. So two of their ETFs had to sell Hood yesterday. Yeah. Yeah, Kathy is just bad luck in general. Usually, if Kathy's buying something, you don't want to have it. Although I think the Arc K has been doing good this year. I mean, it's still way off the high. Let's see, what is it at? Year to date. Let's see, do a year to date. Just do the daily. God, that's a crazy chart, isn't it? There are so many charts like this from 2021 that look exactly like this. They all look the same. This one, Peloton, Jesus, what was it? Fastly. Like, there's so many of these that look like this still today. And really all it did was mean revert, like back to kind of where it was. But on the year, where's 2024 start? I mean, she's doing pretty good. She's got a lot of Robinhood, so I'll give her that. Yes, Zoom, Jesus, PayPal, Disney, Nike. Like, they all did this. They went parabolic over that phase. Like, it's so easy to point to in hindsight and be like, why was I not just buying puts? Like, you could have bought a put on pretty much anything except for maybe Costco and made just an insane amount of money from the end of 2021 into 2022, like all the way really into 2023. Shit, you could have made money for 2 years just buying puts all the way down. Yeah, she bought a shitload of Circle, but I don't know what her entry was. I had it queued up for 500 shares at $26 when the initial IPO came out. And then when they bumped it up to $31, I canceled because I was like, I mean, I thought it was kind of rich because I think fair value for Circle is like $2 billion or $6 billion for their market cap. And now, I mean, what is Circle at today for their market cap? I'm sure it's something insane. Let's see. I should have just held it because I could have tripled that position. It was like $12,000 I had. I even did a video on it. I did a video and a write-up on it, and I didn't buy it. Market cap is at $24 billion right now. I thought it was overvalued above 6, so I was obviously wrong. Yeah, a lot of people put. I saw where a lot of people put in to get shares, and they didn't get any. And then some people only got filled on like 12 shares, and they're like, "Well, I'm just happy I got my 12." So, I mean, I don't even think if I had put in the 500 shares, I probably would not have gotten filled on all of them anyways. Circle is definitely not worth $25 billion. And you can go look at my write-up on it that explains what they should be worth just based off of their, what is it that they hold, USDC or USDT? Whatever their stable coin is that they own like 60% of. Like, the only reason they're making so much money right now is because interest rates are at 4.5%. So they, if I give them $1 for USDC, and they take my dollar and they put it in a treasury bill at 4.5%, and they make 4.5% on that. And once interest rates start to get cut, I'm really not sure how Circle's going to keep their revenues up, other than minting more USDC, I guess. I did not buy the Hood IPO. Actually, no, I take it back. I did buy some of the Hood IPO, and I probably could go back in my thing if it would let me go back far enough and see. I think I bought it after it pulled back to like 50, thinking that 50 was a good deal. And then it dropped to like 40 and I sold. I at least did not buy it at $85. I bought it like a week later when it had pulled back, and it looked like we can look at it real quick. Oh, here we go. I bought it right in here, Like there was a little bit of time where it looked like it was kind of stable in here, although this doesn't look at all. Like I thought it was going to hold 50 for some reason. I bought it like 50 and then it went down to 40 and I sold. And then it bounced and I was like, oh shit, I should have held. And then it fucking plummeted, which is like the typical like trick trap trade right here. It bounced. People probably got trapped right here thinking it was going to come back and then they dumped it. Coin is eating whose lunch? Circle? Yeah, I think it's absolutely going to happen. Circle. Like this, especially if we like get a market drawdown. I'm part of this was Hood IPO'd at the perfect time. Hood IPO'd at the end of the summer of 2021 when FOMO was like 1,000%. And it just shot up because of that. And then it was good for them because they were able to like get so much money from the IPO to use for operations. But then like the market crashed right after that and they went with it. I think it'll definitely like I don't think that like the market has to crash or circle to pull back. I don't think you'll see this kind of crazy ass pullback. But I could see them pull back to IPO price, like where they IPO'd at. I could see circle back at $30 in a few months. Especially if we don't have if we have like an actual alt season in crypto, which hasn't happened yet, I think not only will Hood obviously benefit, but all of these crypto adjacent stocks like Circle, MSTR might not benefit as much because they're just solely Bitcoin. But Mara, Riot, all of those folks are going to probably benefit from it. I'll be surprised if we don't have an alt season. Like the market, I honestly don't know what we have. And I guess would technically start this summer if it was going to. Coin's eating Circle's lunch. Oh yeah, the coin like Circle is just like they're a blood boy, a blood boy for Coinbase. Like I think they take almost $1 billion of their revenue. So Circle, I don't know how much effort it takes for Circle to just but put their money into U.S. Treasuries to draw a yield. Probably not much, but yeah, Coin takes like 80% of the revenue, which is insane. Yeah, Circle will be back below 60 easily. That's a good question. I think the entry, like the cost to entry into the like stocks into being a brokerage is a lot higher than it is for crypto, especially early on. Like when Coinbase and Hood both started doing crypto, like there weren't really regulations yet, and it was so loose and fast in like the 2015 to 2020 period until Gensler came in and started being an asshole. I think it was easy for companies to get into crypto then, like regulatory wise. And I don't really know why Coin never thought about. I guess they were making so much money and they were the only player in the crypto space really that anyone knew. So I'm not really sure. I think that might have been a part of it is they were just making so much money and they had a monopoly that they were like, we don't need to do anything else. Where Hood actually started in stocks, in equities, and they were a brokerage first, and then they added crypto. So they did the hard part, which was becoming a brokerage. Crypto, adding that on later was easier, where Coinbase was the opposite. They did the easy part, which was, I guess cornering the crypto market, which was very, unregulated at the time. And now to go back and do the brokerage part would be, I don't know if it's worth their time, really. I think they're better off focusing on just trying to like keep their market share of crypto. And if they start spending time to get into equities, like Robinhood might totally eat their lunch, which they already are. If SoFi can do it, then anyone can. Yeah, that's true. But SoFi doesn't even have level 1 options trading, and they've been trying to get it for like 3 years now. So, to be fair. Like it might be, yeah. I don't understand why SoFi doesn't have options. Honestly, like it shouldn't be that complicated. All right, we'll talk about one more thing because it's almost 5, and I do want to. I'll probably flip over to Emit too at 5:15 just to watch. Oh yeah, I saw that the prediction markets on X. Yeah, I was kind of like, a little. I mean, it makes sense because so much of the discussion for betting happens on X. So like, if I'm on, I don't do a lot of sports betting, but I know people who do, and I know a lot of people like they're like our whole communities on X that do sports betting. Um, I think it would make a lot of sense for it to just be on the platform. So if people were like discussing it or showing their bets, like if you have that built in and integrated into X, I think it's really good for Polymarket. It's really good for their exposure, and it's really good for X too because it gets people on the platform like tweeting or Xing, whatever the hell you call it now. Um, but yeah, I think it would hurt. Like it's more competition, right? It doesn't necessarily mean like competition is not bad, but the more players you have in the space, the more pieces of the pie you have to split, the less opportunity there is to make. It's like casinos, right? Like if there's only one casino, they'd make so much money, but there's like a bazillion casinos, um, and so they have to split all the revenue. Like you want to dominate the market and be the first mover to the market. Like if anybody's benefiting most off of these, it's probably Polymarket and Kalshi. All right, I want to share this real quick. Yeah, that's not a catalyst for SoFi. I mean, everyone and their brother, like every brokerage in the world has level 1 options. I don't think them getting it's not going to be that exciting. I hate it for them, but it just isn't. I mean, it might be exciting for them if that's the only platform that they use, but like the rest of the real world is not going to care. So this is equities. And I think this is a real driver for Robinhood. If this is me modeling it out and assuming we start doing blockchain this year to some degree. Like how expansive it's going to be for Robinhood, I don't know. But I think this year sometime they're either going to formally announce it or they were actually going to do it. Like where they start tokenizing some equities or ETFs like SPY or something onto a blockchain model. And he said they kind of hinted at starting in Europe, and they also hinted at private equity, but I think it would be easier to get equities on there first because Kraken actually announced that they are partnering with Solana, and they didn't give a date. That's the thing. So I have no idea when Kraken plans to actually do this, but they're partnering with Solana to start trading equities on blockchain. So we'll see. I think it makes sense for Hood to start in Europe because it's a smaller market. In general, like even if you are in every country there, they just don't trade like Americans do. So there's like if something goes wrong, like it impacts fewer people. It's like a trial run. It's like a clinical trial for this, and if it goes well, they can roll it out into the U.S. But the margins and take rate on equities is so low in the payment for order flow model, which is what they use now. And it's like a lot of people who hate Robinhood complain about this payment for order flow, like they're getting paid to route your orders to like Big Bad Citadel or whoever it is. It's not just Citadel, it's other people. But like you look here, like they don't really make much money off of equities. They have way more volume in equities total than they do on crypto, but the take rate on crypto is 0.6. So it's 30x what the take rate is for equities. Now imagine they still had the same amount of volume in equities, which is way higher than crypto, but they're getting 30x the yield on it. Like think about what that does to Robinhood's revenue. And options. I mean, theoretically, options I think it would be more complicated than equities, but options could go onto blockchain too one day. I mean, all it is a contract between me and you. Like, I agree to sell you, shares of Robinhood at $70 if it's, above this, if it's above 70 at this date. All it is a contract. So that theoretically you could put that contract onto a blockchain and me and you could trade that back and forth with each other. Well, equities would be a little easier but they could really increase the take rate here. Like, I don't think anyone who's buying on their platform is going to notice a 0.1% or a 0.2% change in what's being taken. And really, it doesn't even have to come from you. Like, the reason it's not higher now is because, well, part of what they take from us when we make a trade is going to um, the exchange or to like Citadel. Like, they take a part of that from Robinhood. Robinhood just gets a portion of it from being the one who routes the trade to whoever. Now, if they are in full control of the trading, like if it's on their blockchain or if it's on Ethereum, like they're not paying that middleman anymore. Or at least if they are paying them, they're not paying them as much as you're paying a traditional TradFi person to execute your trade on your platform. So they could really exponentially scale this to a level like crypto used to be at 0.2% like in 2023, and it's at 0.6% now, and it hasn't slowed down their trading volumes at all. So clearly people who are trading on the platform do not care. So we'll see. I think this is the most exciting thing. If they announce equities on blockchain, like even if it's in like some small capacity at the end of this month, and even if it doesn't like roll out until the end of this year or the beginning of 2026, because they already have the platform exists, like they already have a blockchain based platform, they can just lay this on top of it. So I don't think it's going to take them a whole lot of development time to get it going. And once they do, I think they can scale it pretty fast, right? I mean, it's an application that's already on people's phones. It's not like they have to go build something. Like they just run the software and people start using it. And they bypass the middleman, which is the exchange that they're having to use now to route trades. And they'll make a lot more money doing this. Yeah, we're almost there. Go back to the chart. I don't think anything's really happened. App's still kind of the same spot. Hood's still the same spot. Carvana, Trade Desk. If somebody does know something right now, they're not tipping their hand yet. Sorry if you hear my kids screaming in the background. Probably should be working right now, honestly. But it's almost 5 o'clock. I don't know about y'all, but the weather's been super shitty here recently. The sun is out for like the first time in 3 weeks. It's crazy. Maybe that's a sign. Maybe that is a sign that Robinhood is about to get into the SP500. Sun's out, guns out, Robinhood to the S&P 500. If that doesn't get your juices going, I don't know what does. Do y'all have anything else y'all want to look at? We have time. I'll probably hop off a little after 5 and then just flip over to a midstream to give him a look and talk shit in that chat. Because I really don't think we're going to have anything happen between now and 5:15. I was kind of hoping we'd see some price action movement, but really nothing's moved since close. And the close, honestly, the close wasn't that exciting on any of these. Like, let's go 30-minute chart and look at the closes from today and yesterday. Like Carvana, nothing out of the ordinary. Let's look at AppLovin's close. Hey, where's my volume? I don't have volume on that chart. Weird. I'll come bring it down here. No, I don't want the daily. I want the 30-minute. Yeah, I mean, trade desk closed, nothing really there to be excited about volume-wise. Pretty much the same as it was yesterday. We'll look at Hood. That's 30 seconds. I don't want 30 seconds. I want 30 minutes. Today and yesterday. Now, there was actually on this dump, like that was more volume that we would normally see into a close. So take that with a grain of salt. Amit's live. All right. Well, let's flip on over. What do I think about 3.5 deposits in May? I don't know. I think it's okay because they didn't run any. They didn't really run any advertisements. Like they weren't going heavy into like they weren't doing trivia. They ran one like the $1 million thing like to get a share of to deposit. I think Robinhood had done really good at the end of last year and the beginning of this year because they ran so many like programs to get people to deposit, and they just didn't really do anything last month. I think they will do something. Maybe they'll do something around the crypto event again to get people to put in some money. All right, folks, it's 5 o'clock. I'm gonna go check my work emails real quick and then hop over to Amit's live and see what happens. Good luck, everybody. Peace.